Welcome to Loose Pausibilities, where we break from the bad news to look at stories of triumph involving real people facing real-life challenges. You'll meet some friends of mine who have survived and thrived, sometimes in the face of great odds and seemingly insurmountable obstacles. Their inspirational stories have motivated and encouraged me, and I believe they will give you glimmers of hope to keep trying, keep believing, and keep receiving the best that life has to offer. So grab a cup of coffee or a glass of good old sweet tea and come, let's pause and ponder the positive possibilities that await us all. My friend Tommy Siniard is the founding partner of the well-respected law firm Sinnard, Timberlake & League. He's a nationally acclaimed trial lawyer whose impressive resume includes being recognized as a super lawyer, being named one of the best lawyers in America for 18 consecutive years, and also being one of the top 100 trial lawyers in the entire United States one year. He's graciously agreed to share how he climbed the ladder of success to an estate home atop Montesano, which boasts an unparalleled $1 million view. Tommy's inspiring story is about more than money or recognition. He and his beautiful wife, Susan, are allowing us a peek inside their lovely home and into their personal lives. Hello, I'm here with Tommy Siniard, one of the most respected and well-known attorneys in Huntsville, Alabama. Thank you for having us today, Tommy.
Thank you, Lou. I'm flattered. I don't know how I was chosen for this, but you're awfully kind.
You have a wonderful story that many people need to hear. Could you tell us a little bit about your humble beginnings?
My dad worked 43 years at the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company in Gadsden, Alabama, and my parents were married as teenagers. They neither went to college, and my dad missed 13 days of work in 43 years and earned the National Attendance Award for the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company, and for that they gave him a Timex watch and an ashtray and $200. But my mother worked as a assistant receptionist to a pediatrician, and somehow they managed to put me and my two older sisters through the University of Alabama with all three of us with graduate degrees, paid their bills the day before they were due, tithed to their church, and never turned down a charity. So we didn't know we didn't have much because we had all the things that really mattered.
The work ethic that your father instilled into you, do you think that spilled over into your success today?
My dad believed if you were going to do something that's worth doing right, almost to an obsessive level. So yeah, I mean, the choices were poor to do things halfway. My parents, they believed in doing it right.
You told me that you worked a variety of jobs to get all the way through school. Can you elaborate on some of those, please?
I've done a little bit of everything. I had the paper route. I worked at a golf course in the maintenance department. I worked road construction. I was in a fraternity at Alabama, but I was the guy whose job it was to clean the fraternity bar. I was the janitor. I served food in the cafeteria in the dorm that I lived in. I started a student newspaper at the University of Alabama called the Rammer Jammer, and learned for the first time that I could make money talking instead of sweating.
How about that?
And that was sort of a turning point in my life. I enjoyed the sales part of the ads in the paper more than I did writing it. I sold that paper and paid for my way through law school with the profits from the little newspaper I'd started. And my father made me promise that I would always stay on that side of the aisle. And I've always represented people as opposed to big businesses or corporations. And that's a promise I've kept.
In growing up in Gadsden, Alabama, small little town, did you ever think that you would live in a mountaintop estate home with $1 million view?
No, I never thought I'd have the blessings that I've had. And this place we moved is just a beautiful place. I feel unworthy of the view sometimes, but I love it up here, and I've had a great run, as they say.
The house is situated in the historic community of Viduta on the site of the old Montesano Hotel.
There's quite a few stories about the Montesano Hotel. You know, the Vanderbilts came here, the Astors, Helen Keller. It was quite the address. There was a stagecoach that came up here at first, and then there was a Montesano Railway, and this went on for 20 years, and then hard times came, I guess, and the hotel diminished. I think maybe it had a fire at some time.
What is one of your favorite things about your home here on top of Montesano?
Well, it's the view. You can't watch the sunset up here without feeling blessed. It's special. And all the the eclectic blend of people up on the mountain, whether people know it or not. There's everything from people that work from Warner von Braun, who live right across the street,
Wow.
to people that are leftover Woodstock types, and everything
Absolutely.
and everything in between.
Nature lovers and scientists.
And they're very protective of this mountain, and we like that.
I know that you're proud of all of the boys, but one of them joined the law firm that you have, and I just wanted to ask you, Tommy, did you make him promise you anything like your father made you promise him?
No, there were no promises like that. He knows we're on the side of the regular guy, and he's right there with me. He's working with me now. Greatest thing that's happened to me is practicing law with my son.
What do you think is the single most important attribute for a trial lawyer?
You almost got to have a little bit of ministry in you, because you see people who one day life's like this and the next day it's here. And I think it teaches you that we're all as fragile as a butterfly's wing. Carpe diem, live for the day. I think we try to bring to it a little more of the people thing. But I'm able to tell people now, after 35 years, you're a tough guy, you work out here in the plant, you've broken your back, you look like you're about to jump off the bridge, go get some help. I've had some good outcomes with that kind of thing, because they might listen to me where they wouldn't listen to their wife or their daughter or their son or even a minister. It's just somebody more like them, more regular, saying, hey, get some help. And so we feel like we might have rescued a few people along the way.
Your law firm recently won a very prestigious award, which was the Pro Bono Award from the Alabama State Bar. And I would like to read what Angela Rawls of the Madison County Volunteer Lawyers Program said about that. Many of the attorneys at Sinnard, Timberlake, and League regularly volunteer with the Madison County Volunteer Lawyers Program and take on pro bono clients. We know that we can count on these attorneys in many instances to take the cases that are challenging and difficult for us to place with volunteers. They truly have a heart for helping those in need and take on pro bono work because it is the right thing to do.
We try to take all comers, and we try to give back. And to get that for the whole state of Alabama really was, I guess, the biggest feather in our cap. If that's what you're remembered for, that's what we want. I'm getting choked up talking about it. But I'm getting weepy, but I'm very proud of that.
I would like you to just briefly tell us a little bit about some of your personal volunteer activities, and is there something that was particularly near and dear to your heart?
Well, I've been on the board of the Boys and Girls Club, and the Boys and Girls Club takes care of the least of these in terms of children, a lot of them from single-parent homes. They teach citizenship, how to handle your financial matters, community involvement. They encourage religious activities. If you go to a Boys and Girls Club in North Alabama on any given day, you will be overwhelmed with what they are able to do with these kids who have many times one parent who is not participatory in their life. The Boys and Girls Club go to PTA meetings for these kids. It's not just
impressive.
a place where let's get a ball game up. They do incredible things, and the outcomes that they've had will make chill bumps up your spine.
When we come back, Tommy is going to share with us some of the things that have touched his heart the most in his 35 plus years being a trial lawyer, and maybe give us a little bit of advice for young people that are trying to achieve their goals. We're here with Tommy Siniard, a local trial lawyer who has been sharing with us a little about his early years and what it was like to work his way through school, as well as telling us about some of his community involvement. He's seen a lot over 35 years in the courtroom and is going to share something that has really touched his heart along the way and offer some good advice that you will want to hear. Tommy also happens to be co-host of a legal call-in show called 31 Law Line.
That started out as a pilot, a trial, and now 17 years later we're still doing it. And For 10 or 11 years, I did it every Sunday night, but now my partners now, we take turns, so that's great. It still gets good reviews and get a lot of positive feedback from that.
Can you share with us maybe one of the more interesting questions that you might have gotten over the years?
All these years, I thought people were turning in watching this show because I was so brilliant answering their legal questions. Well, one night, I got a call from a lady who was angry because her neighbor who had killed her pet possum, Ollie. And she knew that the neighbor knew it was a pet possum. She said, Mr. Siniard, I know you can help me with this, but he has directly killed my possum for no good reason.
Aww.
And so I asked the people in the back, I said, why did we get the possum lady on? And they said, well, we had a call from somebody that was injured in an 18-wheeler. And I said, why did you pick possum lady over the car?
Right.
Terrible. They said, well, this makes good TV. And besides, Senior, nobody's really tuning in to hear your answers. They're watching this show because of the questions. So that was a real come up. And so we've had some crazy questions over the years.
I know that many of the difficult cases have really touched your heart. And I'd like you to maybe think of one in particular that you could share with us where a client maybe rose above adversity.
A young lady, she was in an accident and was rendered a quadriplegic at the ripe old age of 24 years old. She was from a very poverty-stricken family. No dad or mother had a drug problem. She was living in a trailer that was not big as a quadriplegic. And we represented her in that case. And this young lady, I felt so bad for her. She said, don't feel sorry for me, Mr. Senior. She said, we've lived our life on the edge of hell since I was born, and now I am saved. I now know Jesus and I know God, and I don't think I ever would but for this. She said, I'm the happiest I've ever been. She can't move her hands, she can't move her feet, and she wasn't kidding, and this wasn't a show. So we were able to recover a handsome sum of money for her, and we got it away from her mother and put it kind of in a trust fund. And I called my wife one day because her mother was being abusive to her. When her mother brought her to the office, and she told me her mother's abusing her, and so I sent her mother on, and I called Susan, my wife, and said, I got a surprise I'm bringing home. And she said, is it flowers? Is it a cake? Is it steak? I said, I'm bringing home a quadriplegic.
Aww.
My kids learned a lot from that. You just never know when that could be you. And for her to come out of that so positive.
It's amazing.
It was unbelievable to me. It was a life-changing experience for not just me, but my family. And we keep in touch with her, and she's in South Alabama now, and she was able to buy a house with the money we got her, and we have a monthly income. And she's still one of the most positive people you would ever know. Our dog Duke, who's around here somewhere, when I first met her, I said, is there anything I can do for you? And I knew she was going to ask for money. I was down on her luck, starving, quadriplegic. She said, yes, Mr. Senior, there's something you can do. Our dog Elsie's had 11 puppies, and they're up under the trailer, and we don't even have food for Elsie, and those puppies are going to starve. Would you take a couple of those puppies to Huntsville?
That's not how you got your dogs.
That's how I have Duke. And so Duke's our reminder of Rachel. And,
wow.
That's all she asked for.
Awesome story.
She's
awesome story.
Unbelievable.
Now, Tommy, we've been talking a little bit about the different cases that you've seen over the years. Is there one defining case that made you think that you had accomplished what you set out to do when you became an attorney?
The one case that I was involved in that I think made a difference in the world. There's only
in the world.
There were 7 people that went deaf and blind at the Huntsville hospital during dialysis.
I remember that story.
And it was a medical mystery, and we got involved in that case and learned that it was the kidney filters that were aged. They were 10 plus years old, and while there's a born-on date for a Budweiser and a Snickers, there was no born-on date for cellulose acetate filters, which are, organic fibers which degrade with time.
Okay.
And so we sued the manufacturer of the kidney filters. We later learned that something like this had happened before.
Oh, wow.
And went to Japan and met with the Minister of Health of Japan.
You did?
Me, Joe Cloud and I. And
Okay.
then we worked our way all the way up through the Japanese government because they had investigated this incident, and then took a bullet train to Hiroshima and met with the CEO of a kidney filter company there who gave us the information about how this had occurred before. And from that, they forever changed how kidney filters were made and the warning labels on them, and they all now have a born-on date. And so, because of our case, they changed the way kidney filters were made.
Next, Tommy will give us his take on achieving goals, following your passion, and overcoming seemingly insurmountable obstacles. Back now with Tommy Siniard, the founding partner of Sinnard Timberlake and League, who has made us laugh with him about Ollie the Possum, shake our heads at failed kidney dialysis filters, and tug at our heartstrings with the story of an abused quadriplegic whose optimism in the face of adversity would inspire anyone. Now, all of this sadness and sorrow and things that you see on a daily basis, how do you keep up that well-known sense of humor that you have?
And I've never been one who couldn't laugh at myself. When you look like this, you got to get a sense of humor. I surround myself with people that have that kind of attitude, and I like to laugh and carry on, and I'm blessed to be around a lot of people that do too. And
what advice do you have for young people who are struggling to achieve their goals?
The best advice anybody can give you is follow your passion.
There you go.
You know, follow your passion. Like you're doing this you do a great job in real estate, but this is something that you've got a passion about, and you're doing it well. And I think if you're doing something that is your passion, then it's not a job. And it just turned out that I was a fit for being a lawyer. I don't know how my sixth grade teacher told me that I'd be a good lawyer, but I have a passion about it and I like it. If they're passionate about being an auto mechanic, or you know, if they want to do landscape, or if they want, what is it that it's a real passion? Finding your passion, I think, is the secret.
What one thing, Tommy, one thing would you like to say to someone that might be viewing this that may be facing a potentially insurmountable obstacle?
This is a little close to home because I've lost a family member to a suicide.
I'm so sorry.
A niece who was a young lawyer. There are people who are too proud to admit that they are down and out. I tell my own kids, life does not go like this. It goes like this, you know, and you don't measure people. I don't measure people by how they are at the top. I measure people by when they have to pick up their bootstraps and move on. And I think there's a whole lot of people that suffer from depression.
Right.
And mental illness, but it's uncool to talk about your mental state.
It's a taboo.
It's a taboo. There's no shame in getting help, and you need to reach out. The other thing I would say is, coming from where I came from, is you can really do anything that you set your mind to. We live in the greatest country in the history of the world.
Amen.
And, you know, if you make your mind up and you try real hard, you can really do just about anything. I sometimes giggle.
Giggle?
A giggle. How did I get to here, you know, because I feel a little bit like I'm the little man in the Wizard of Oz that's just a little fat guy back there pulling the things, and I just don't want the dog to pull the curtain back because
Too funny.
I've been blessed beyond measure, but I'm just a regular guy.
And an incredible story. Tommy, you said to me, you cannot sit in my chair for over 35 years and not believe in what?
In God. You cannot, I don't care what kind of background you've got, you cannot sit in my chair and not believe in a higher being. It's irrefutable when you see what happens to people when they go through the horror shows of life. All we see is horror. I mean, it might be a sore neck we see, but we see death and dismemberment and quadriplegia and brain injury. But the thing that resonates through that all is how many times it happened for a reason. You've heard the saying, everything happens for a reason,
right,
but it may be greater than we realize. There's so many things that occur in the face of tragedy that you cannot dispute the principle of a higher being. And those that lean on it do much better, much better than those that don't. And I don't think that anybody can sit in my chair and say, there's not a God.
That is such an intriguing life story. When we come back, we'll find out what Tommy wants to do next. What's next for Tommy Siniard?
Susan and I say the fourth quarter's ours. I wouldn't change a thing. I'm very happy, and I like practicing law. People say, why aren't you retired? I don't want to be retired. You know, my younger partners have taken over the management and of the firm, and I get to just practice law. For years, I was the only guy making the calls. Michael, Timberlake, and Will League, they do such a great job, and I'm just down there practicing law with my son. So I just want to see my kids grow up.
Golf with your wife?
Golf with my wife. I've taught my wife how to fish, how to bowl, and how to play golf, and she has now beaten me at all three.
Oh my goodness.
She's obnoxious. We're real competitive, and so we're happy doing what we're doing, and happy with the nest empty, but happy to have them all home too.
I bet. Tommy, thank you for your generosity in allowing us into your lovely home. Thank you for your generosity in the community. And most especially, I want to personally thank you for your generosity of heart. It has touched me, not just today, but on other levels. And that is a gift that you can't replicate. And just thank you so much for all that you do for everyone in the community and for your clients and for coming on the show.
Well, you're a sweetheart, and it's past flattery, and it makes
it
makes it sound much better than it really is, but I'm flattered, and I admire you for your spunk and your positive nature, and your heart is in the right place. It's to inspire people, and I'm hopeful that this will do some good, and I know you're going to do well with it, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Tommy.
you.
Thank you. There you have it. The story of a young man born to hard-working parents in Gadsden, Alabama, who made it to the top of the mountain with $1 million view through faith and hard work. We hope that this story has touched and inspired you as much as it has me. Join us next time as we ponder the positive possibilities that await us all.